Hello, everyone. Great to see you here. I know it's the end of the day, but I'm hoping you've still got just a little bit of energy for me to talk about empowered leadership. Tell me, do you have a little bit of energy left? Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really, really great to hear. So I'm going to start with a little story. Is anyone familiar with Mary Poppins? Put your hand up if you know who Mary Poppins is and you know the story of Mary Poppins. Okay, some hands haven't gone up. So Mary Poppins is a film from the UK that was around, I think, since the 1970s, actually. So a long time ago, but it's been reinvented by Disney for many generations. And it's about a housekeeper or a nanny, someone who looks after children. You might remember she says something, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Maybe say it with me. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Let's try it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So she says that. She's quite famous for saying that. And what's amazing about this nanny is that she can fly. She puts her umbrella up and she can fly over the sky. And it really captures the imagination of children. So why I'm telling you about this is I want to start with a story about a little boy who went to see Mary Poppins. He was about 5 years old. He went to see it with his older brother and his dad. His mum and dad didn't live together. His dad had come to see them and took them to the cinema. And who has little children in their lives? Who has children under 10 in their lives? Yes, thank you, a few of you. Great. So you know that they have very vivid imaginations, don't they? They get very excited. They believe what they see on the television, on the screen. And this 5-year-old got very excited about Mary Poppins because she could fly. He went home the next day. He was at home with his mum and his brother. His mum worked in the night, so she decided to have a sleep during the day. She locked up the house to make sure the children were safe while she had a short nap. And she also made sure they had food. And while the 5-year-old boy was there with his older brother, he was just a year or so difference, he started jumping from the chair to the sofa, to the next chair. He opened an umbrella and he started jumping and saying, "Do you think I could fly like Mary Poppins?" And his brother, not much older, said, "Yeah, of course. We saw her do it." Now, they lived in an apartment block or a block of flats, as we would describe it in England. And in those days, health and safety wasn't so much of a big thing. So they were able to open the window fully on the second floor flat and look out as young children. And after his jumping from sofa to chair, he felt he'd practiced enough. He went to the windowsill with a wide open window, his umbrella up at 5 years old, from a height double the height of this room, and jumped. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened to that little boy in a short time, but I want you to hold his story in your memory. I want you to think about what led to him being able to take the jump. So, as has been said, I am based in the UK. I'm based in London, and I've lived in the UK my whole life. My heritage is from St. Lucia and Jamaica in the Caribbean, two beautiful islands, and actually being here in India is reminding me of them. The warmth, the friendliness, and the spirit, there's a lot of similarity. I've been running my business for 20 years this year, which I'm very, very proud of. And my business focuses on leadership. We have 3 pillars: inclusive leadership, making sure that in organizations, every single person can thrive. The environment is created where everyone can be successful. Entrepreneurial leadership, So even in large corporate organizations, we can foster entrepreneurial spirit in our staff. And that's never been more important. And AI leadership. And what we mean by that is ensuring that no one is left behind when you implement AI. Because as has been said today, AI has bias built in. There are people who are nervous of AI. There are people who think that using AI is cheating. And those people will be left behind if the right leaders aren't in place to support them. So we work with large organizations, big supermarkets, National Gas, for example, as well, the National Health Service. So we work with some very big organizations, but we also work with some small, medium enterprises as well. And as a small company myself, there's a lot that I know, there's a lot that I've learned about being in business. And for me, this idea of being an empowered leader is at the heart of it. For me, that's knowing how strong your why is. Why do you want to do the work you do? Because when you know that's really strong, nothing stops you making the jump. So I've told you a little bit about myself. I come from quite humble beginnings in northwest London. And I was honoured by the Queen of England in 2021 for the work I do. I do a lot of work supporting female entrepreneurs, and I also have a social enterprise that supports teenagers to increase their aspirations and to help them make good choices. So there are a number of strings to what the work I do. And I mentioned AI and how important that is, and I know we've been talking about that today and we'll continue talking about that through this expo. But also I launched a podcast with my daughter who's in her 20s earlier this year. And that podcast is called AI for Equity, where what we're doing is we're speaking to people globally who are using AI to solve the world's biggest problems. And we also have a book deal. And our book will be coming out in September, AI for Equity as well. So that will be the third book that I have written. So who here has felt scarcity in their business? By that, I mean, who here has ever felt that the phone isn't ringing enough? That there's not enough money coming in? That maybe people don't know about what you do, and so they're not coming and knocking on your door? Has anyone here experienced that? I definitely have. And it's a really difficult feeling because when we experience scarcity, sometimes we don't go to the right place. When we experience scarcity, sometimes we start to look around at the competition. We think, oh, what are they doing? Oh, maybe they're encroaching on my business. Maybe the people I thought I could trust, I can't trust. We start to compare ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we decide we haven't got the right people, and sometimes we remove people from our organization. We think the best thing to do is make cuts and remove things. So we can make quite big decisions. We can make quite fast decisions that maybe are not necessarily coming from the right place because they're coming from what we don't want rather than what we do want. And I think this is something for us to consider, because how can we be an empowered leader if we're making those sorts of decisions? Instead, what I'm advocating for is when you do experience difficulty or challenge, you double down on your why. Why did I go into business in the first place? What difference will this make for the people that I'm trying to serve? Maybe what difference will this make for my family and the people around me who are relying on me? What is the why for your business? Because I know we've just been talking about money and cash flow, and that is absolutely essential, but it's not the only thing. And actually, for me, knowing my purpose and understanding my why is exactly what has led to cash flow. And it's exactly what has led to longevity and me continuing to stay in business. So I encourage you, when you have that feeling, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to move forward, I feel stuck, I'm finding it challenging, I encourage you at those points to change how you look at it. I want you all just to put your right arm in the air for a moment. And I want you to look up at the ceiling. And I want you to do a clockwise circle. Draw a clockwise circle. And now keep that clockwise circle going till it's just below your waist. Okay? So keep the circle going down, this clockwise circle. And I want you to look at it. Now it's below your waist. And tell me, what direction is that clockwise circle going in now? So, some of you will say, is my arm, is it broken? Because now it's going anti-clockwise when you're looking at it just below your waist. Why do you think that is happening? Perspective. Thank you to the person who shouted that out. This idea of empowered leadership requires we change our perspective. When we were looking up at that circle, it was clockwise. When we looked down, it was anti-clockwise. Sometimes we keep that same perspective and it keeps us stuck and stops us moving. So sometimes we have to move and we have to look at things differently. And ultimately, it is about really understanding your purpose. So this sounds sometimes like really soft and easy stuff. It sounds like a nice to have, maybe something that you don't really need to have, but it would be lovely if you have the time to think about it. But actually, this research from Harvard shows it really makes a difference. Purpose-driven companies outperform their competition by 42%. Imagine that. Imagine outperforming your competitors by 42%. Your employees are more connected. They feel that they're part of something that makes a difference in the world. And for them, they're more likely to stay. They're more likely to go the extra mile for you as their employer. And also, leaders who believe in purpose actually are better at guiding decisions. And as business leaders, business people, whether you work in a large organization or a smaller one, every day is decision after decision after decision. We need to make sure that they are good ones. But purpose, we can't buy it. We can't invest in it. We can't outsource it. Actually, only leadership is at the heart of you being a purposeful leader. We've heard so many perspectives on leadership today. But for me, the only way to lead is with purpose. So I did a little bit of research, just trying to understand what's happening here in Tamil Nadu. And actually, I thought, what if the way you did business, what if your purpose was at the heart of your success? You know, so many of you and so many small, medium enterprises, what you're trying to do is compete with the big boys. But actually, they are at a disadvantage. They quite often cannot move quickly. They can't make decisions quickly. They are not nimble. Actually, the heart of business can often seem like it disappears when an organization is really large. Every organization in this room has that agility to move quickly. And what I've seen from you is you're fantastic at quickly building relationships. I've made new friends here already that I know will last a lifetime. And actually, so many people I've met have been family members, family businesses, husbands and wives, children's, brothers and sisters, grandparents' businesses that have been passed along. So for you, it's not just about quarterly reports. It's about how you pass your business on to the next generation. And that's purpose in action. And also here, you have to be innovative problem solvers. As small businesses based here, but tapping into what is available to you, grabbing those opportunities means that you have to be excellent problem solvers. So you have purpose at the heart. You have the makings of empowered leadership. And that means that you can grow, you can develop, and you can do it quickly. As was mentioned earlier, we all have access to AI. We all have a PhD in our pocket now. But what differentiates you could be this purpose, this difference, this knowing of why you do what you do. So for me, I know that the heart of my success, there have been challenges in my business when I've had to pivot, I've had to change, perhaps and also times when I've decided to walk away from particular clients. When I've been able to do that, I've doubled down on my why. So actually, why do I do this and why is it important to me? I've also doubled down on what makes me unique and where I'm coming from. And that means I've also not been afraid to walk away from the things that aren't right for me. But when I've done that, I've attracted the absolute right clients who come to me and stay with me year on year. So this empowered leadership requires courage. It requires clarity. It requires you to know what's important to you. When you're so convinced of your why, nothing will stop you taking that jump. And that's what empowered leadership looks like. So I've told you about what I see as your unique advantages. And I want you to hold on to them, even when you read and you hear that other things are important, because these are unique to you and make you special. And I want to give you this advice. Perhaps you've seen 20 other businesses today who do exactly what you do. Don't worry about that. Compete with yourself, not them. Are you better than you were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago? If so, you are winning that competition. I would tell you to start before you're ready. At an expo like this, you will be overwhelmed with advice. Should I do this, step A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z before I start? No. You don't have to be ready. You can start and you can learn along the way. And in fact, my biggest lessons have often been from failure. And my biggest challenge to you is in your hiring, because your people make your business. You are away from your business today, and I imagine your people are running it. Or you might be multitasking. But hire for questions, not for answers. Are they questioning your why? Are they questioning the way you do things? Are they challenging you? I have a great team of people. They ask me fantastic questions. Sometimes, I've got to admit, I wish they wouldn't, because I think, I wish life was easy. But each time they challenge me, I step up, I grow, I change, and the business is better as a result. So maybe you're wondering what happened to that little boy and why I told you that story. Do you remember what I said? The definition of empowered leadership was, it's knowing your why and not letting your why stop you from taking that jump. That little boy was sure. He had the self-belief. He had the cheerleader of his brother around him. He had the conviction. Yes, he might fail, but he would learn. We left him here, standing on that ledge, ready to jump. He jumped those 2 floors down. Miraculously, he was absolutely fine. He ran back upstairs to be let in by his brother, but of course his mother had locked the door because she wanted him to be safe. So they had to wake his mum up. And I've got to tell you, he may have been fine from the jump, but he wasn't when his mum had finished with him, because he got a good hiding, a good spanking, told never to do that again. And how do I know that story? Well, that 5-year-old boy was my husband. And he still thinks that he can fly now. So, Tamil Nadu, remember, the next chapter is written by you. Write it well. Nandri. Thank you, and please do stay in touch.